So today we've got another 100 round live fire session. Say you only have 100 rounds, maybe that's all you can afford, that's all you have time for, whatever. You only have 100 rounds at the range. What do you do with it? What drills do you run? What things should you be looking for and trying to assess in your training? And what can you get done with only 100 rounds? So I posted one of these videos probably about a month ago, and to be honest, I was kind of taken back at the amount of views that it got right away, the amount of likes and shares and whatever else you guys do with them, with these videos. And so I feel like some of you guys are getting something out of these 100 round videos, and so I'm probably going to see if I can't do this maybe like once a month. There'll be different topics. If you guys want to see a couple different topics, drop them in the comment box below. Always happy to entertain that stuff and help you guys out as we go. So what we've got down here is a clean target down here at 25. I haven't shot at all today. Now, some of you guys might say, well, there's pasters on there. Yep, this is my range. I leave this stuff out here until it's basically pretty much destroyed and needs to get thrown away. So let's go ahead and load up some of this Hops Munition 147 grain ammo and get to it. All right, so the first drill that we're gonna do with our 100 rounds is going to be a 25-yard bill drill. Now you might say, hey man, usually you should be doing bill drills at like 7 yards or maybe 5 or 10 or whatever. Yes, that is a really good yard line to do bill drills. It's a good yard line to explore, you know, how fast can I go? Can I get my grip in such a way to where I can run the trigger really, really fast without moving the gun? It's a great place to start figuring out hand tension and all that kind of stuff. For me, 25-yard line for a bill drill is a great place because every single thing that you do in terms of how you press the trigger and what your grip is doing and what your vision is doing is only going to be amplified. So some of the things that I'm going to be paying attention to. What is my grip doing? Like, this should be first and foremost. What exactly is my grip doing? And more specifically, am I gripping the gun in such a way to where my grip is basically like a vise and I could just look at a spot on the target and bang on the trigger? Or I think what happens a lot of the time is people will draw the gun, they get the grip that they want, and then maybe 2 to 3 rounds in, the support hand starts coming off of the gun, and then you start pressing the trigger with your entire hand. Why is that problematic? Well, when you press the trigger with your entire hand, the whole gun moves. That would really be bad, right? Yes. So if we just press the gun with our entire hand, you see how the gun moves. Just that little bit of movement down here at 25 definitely translates to deltas and mics on that target. So the next thing that we're going to be looking to is what exactly is our vision doing? And what I mean is you should be trying to pick a small spot. What exactly does that mean, right? Like, we've heard that before, pick a spot, whatever. I think a lot of the time, you know, especially with open targets like we've got down here, people will just look in the general direction rather than picking a place on that target to put the dot on. Meaning that target down there, that open USPSA target, is essentially just a placeholder for the actual target that we're trying to hit. The actual target that we're trying to hit is way smaller than that big target down there. And if you just look in the general direction of that target, what you will notice down there in terms of your hits on target is they will just basically look like a shotgun blast. It'll be all over the place, right? So more on that here in a second. We'll shoot 5 of these bills from 25, and just like the last video, we're gonna go down there, check out the group, and see what we can do in terms of assessing the group and seeing if there's any trends on target. This is going to tell us what we need to work on from here. So let's go ahead and get some dry fire draws in, right? As you guys know, I haven't shot any bullets yet. I do these completely cold. What good would it be for me to do a 100 round range session with, you know, warmed up hands and eyes? So I would go ahead and get a couple dry fire draws in. Make sure that your grip feels good, the draw feels good, the dot is landing exactly on the spot that you're looking, all of that jazz. I think I'm ready to go. Feels pretty nice to me. Okay, here we go. All right, that was a 296. I believe I dropped at least 2 to 3 Charlies on that one. definitely felt myself like return the gun a little bit harder than I needed to. So let's see if we can't fix that here. Do it again. Okay, the last 2 shots were right side Charlie's, but a lot better grip. A lot better grip. So that was a 273, so fairly spicy. Got a lot more spicy there, but it started drifting off to the right because my visual aggressiveness, or visual aggression, if you will, started losing track after about round number 4, right? So again, these 100 round range sessions, you only got 100 rounds. You guys need to be assessing every single thing. There we go. That was 100% all alphas. That was a 284. Okay, let's do it 2 more times. So that'd be a total of, what, 30 rounds or something like that? Some of you math geniuses would figure that out. All right. 266, definitely had a couple high there, but the grip and how I'm returning the gun and the visual piece is definitely where I'd like to see it. It's getting gooder, more gooder. Is that a word? Probably not. Do it again. Okay, 244. I definitely shanked it. I believe it might even be a Delta. Low left on the first shot. So let's go down here and look at the hits. As you guys know, we never cut this either. So we'll shoot stuff, show you the hits regardless of the outcome, right? Oh, I didn't shank it as bad as I thought. All right, here we go. Let's get this adjusted. There we go. Okay. So if this is your group, right, and you're down here looking at this target, feeling bad for yourself. So first thing I would say, right, if you're looking at this as, hey, this is my first group, right? A lot of the time people will walk up to this and they go, oh man, look at these. Like, that really sucks. I will tell you guys this, look for trends, and trends are more of like, what are the many doing, not the, you know, handful of bullets doing. I'm not interested in what the handful of bullets are doing, or the handful of hits on target are like, right? What we should be interested in is, what does the majority of the bullets look like, right? Now, if you do have some, you know, kind of like this, they're like high left, or maybe these 2 up here, you should 100% be paying attention enough while you're shooting to be like, yep, I knew that those were up there. I saw myself, like, maybe you saw yourself watch the dot lift, right? If you watch the dot lift, that's probably where the bullets are gonna go. Maybe you felt your support hand come off the gun, so you know, it lifted higher, right? And then whatever, it caught your attention with your eyes, whatever the case might be. But what we should be looking at is, like, are the vast majority of the rounds concentric around the spot that you're looking? Now, I'll also tell you guys this. For me, that last one, which I think was like a 244, I had a 1 second draw. I think they were all like 1/4 second splits. Yeah, right at 1/4 second splits. That's pretty aggressive for 25, at least for me. And so what I saw out of that is bullets kind of circling around the center of the alpha, right? That is definitely the first shot of the last bill. I thought it would be down here, but it's right there. But okay, so what are the trends on this target? I would say the vast majority of them are concentric around the spot that I was looking. So it's kind of a boring target in my opinion. Some of you guys might disagree, but like, I think there's maybe a couple trends on here, these 5 high left. This is definitely like me, like watching the dot and then returning it down to the improper spot on the target. So like, I am 100% gonna be paying more attention to that throughout the day as I'm shooting, because again, I only have 100 rounds, right? So we'll get these patched up. Let's get on the next drill. All right, so next drill, We've got 30 rounds loaded up to shoot bar hop. Bar hop is a drill from the PSTG guys. It's a really great drill to focus on how you would leave and how you would enter into a position. Now, the way that you're gonna shoot this is you're gonna need a stick on the ground, first of all, and 2 targets. On the signal, you're gonna come up, shoot the left target first. You're gonna shoot that twice. Then you're going to shoot the second target on your right as you're moving across the stick, back to the left target, and then finish on the right target. For you math geniuses, that will be a total of 8 rounds. So you're essentially just bouncing back and forth with the shooting. Now, things that you're gonna be trying to assess and look for while you guys are shooting bar hop. Since this is a very, very heavy movement type of drill, like what you're trying to isolate here is how you would leave and how you would land into a position. So in other words, like a good example of how you would not want to land would be, you know, feet close together like this. Even if you had your knees bent, it's like, yep, you could shoot out of that position, but you would not want to make this the default in how you would land into positions, right? Some of the things that we look to when we're thinking about entering into a position, you need to be entering into a position in such a way that is advantageous to leave out of that position. Bar hop is no different. So it's just isolating that particular piece or one of the pieces of it, right? The way that you exit out of that position, are you able to exit without changing levels, right? Are you standing here like this and then as you come across the stick, you do one of these and then stand back up? If you're changing levels, what you'll see is essentially like as you change, like the dot goes down, and then if you stand up, the dot comes back up. It's more movement in the dot, and that will 100% cause you guys to start doing things like staring at the dot, trying to look for it, and you know, you'll more or less perceive it to be a whole lot harder to shoot accurately. So again, don't be changing levels, right? Land how you would want to land in a position that would be, you know, advantageous to get out of that position. In other words, like feet wide spread apart like this, knees bent, right? This is more or less low, right? We hear people say, hey, get low all the time, but no one ever really says what that means. What that means is knees bent, feet wide spread apart, and you will more or less be low. I'm gonna try to keep that same exact elevation throughout the entire string of fire. Now, some of the things that you guys will notice, like right off the bat, is for some of you, the shooting is gonna go way downhill because you're gonna start thinking about what your feet are doing. Don't worry about it. All that means is the shooting piece for you is not subconscious just yet, okay? It's not a huge deal. Just isolate the movement piece of it if that is you, right? Don't worry so much, or don't be so hard on yourself about what the hits look like on target, right? All this is doing is isolating some of the entries and exits that we would use, you know, in a match or we're shooting a drill or whatever, right? Some of the other things that you guys will see that are pretty common are shots dragging off of the target. What this will signify to you, or this should be, you know, like, hey, I see that trend, that is not good. What that should signify to you is like, hey, if I have shots dragging off of the target, I'm not picking places to put the dot on the target as I shoot this drill. And what happens is, if you just look in the general direction of the target, the dot will just touch brown, and as you move, the gun just moves straight off of the target, dragging off. So what you'll see is like an alpha and a delta in the direction that you are moving in. Not good, right? The way to get the gun to stop on a target is to pick a place within that open target down there to put the dot on, okay? Don't think of it as like, hey, I'm just gonna shoot the alpha. If you just shoot the alpha, that's pretty much what you are going to get, and a lot of the times you'll see alphas like this, or Alpha Charlie, or dragging on and off. Just looking to the alpha is not good enough. Again, what we need to be doing with our vision in terms of, you know, looking to these targets, when you look at those targets, that big target down there is simply holding the little spot that you are trying to hit. And I'm not saying slow down or anything like that. As soon as you just look to a really small spot, some of you guys will be pretty impressed at the type of pace that you'll be able to keep with, you know, keeping the accuracy there as well. So I'm gonna start running my mouth, and just like the other stuff, we're gonna dry fire it first, okay, before we shoot it, because again, we only have 100 rounds. I don't like how I set that left foot down. I saw the sight kind of dip. So work on that again. much better. Okie doke. Let's get our ears on. We're gonna shoot this, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times, however much I have, or however much ammo I have here for this. I think I said I had 30 rounds. Okay. Okay. That was okay, I suppose. Definitely kind of conservative with the pace that I went. That was a 274. Felt really, really slow. Let's try it again. Let's see what my training pace feels like here. There we go, much better pace. This is a 239. Basically what I saw there is like just looking to spots and then seeing the dot just kind of dance around the spot that I'm looking at. Completely fine. I didn't see any sort of, you know, really bad things happening there, so that's good. All right, try it this way. Okay, it was definitely not as precise as I wanted to be with the vision. Now, here's something that I learned from JJ. So I've got 6 rounds left here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna dry fire all of it until the very last shot, okay? I'll go ahead and talk through basically what I'm looking for here. Okay, so the dry fire piece is in there. It's like, hey, I want the dot to land exactly in the middle of the target. Like that's the tiny spot that I'm looking to. Is the dot landing there? How is the dot coming into the target? And am I doing that? If it goes wrong, right, if it kind of streaks into the target, is it because what my vision is doing or is it because what my feet are doing? Okay, like if you step across this like a 10-month-old baby, you know, you're gonna be moving the dot around quite a bit. So stepping really softly, knees wide, or knees bent, feet wide apart. Okay. We got 4 more that we could do here. All this is very, very good work in terms of what I'm getting out of the visual piece and the movement piece. Three more. Good. All right. Show you guys the hits on the target for better or for worse. See if I can get both of them in focus. Probably not. Maybe. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. So we've got 2 Charlies off to the side there. Again, stuff like this is not a trend, but it is very interesting, right? If you have stuff like that happening on your target where you have 2 Charlies kind of off to the side, like that, or 3 Charlies off to the side like that. Did you see and did you feel that happen? That should be the type of stuff that you're interested in. This target, I'll be honest with you guys, pretty boring. If I had more rounds, I would basically just go faster, right? I would try to find my quote unquote training pace. That training pace is just one that feels, you know, fast enough to where it's uncomfortable, right? It's good stuff to be doing. All right, second target here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Charlies. Again, this target kind of sort of boring to look at. Things kind of, you know, concentric around the spot that I was looking. But did you see when these happen? 100% yes. This one, I shoved the gun over to that spot rather than just looking to that spot and kind of just, you know, allowing the gun to show up or like floating the gun over, right? I kind of put a little bit of juice on it and it blew by the target and landed right here. So I kind of drug on to drag off, I guess you could call it. These up here, As soon as I started moving, the dot kind of caught my attention. Again, if you guys watch the dot lift, your dot will go high, right? So, on to the next. Last 40 of these Hot Munitions 147 grain bullets loaded into these 2 magazines. Last drill that we're gonna shoot is one that I call Triple Trouble. This is one that I've been doing for several years now. I started doing this when I started getting into USPSA. I had, at the time, I didn't have this big, beautiful range to practice on, and I just had basically a tiny, tiny little bay. It might have been 7 yards wide and maybe 10 yards deep. It was very, very small. I wanted to get better at movement. I wanted to get better at transitions. I just didn't have a whole lot of stuff, you know, available to me at the time to do that. What I did have was sticks on the ground, 2 target stands, and a piece of steel. Now, don't underestimate setups like this. You don't need stuff that's super, super elaborate in terms of, you know, setting up target arrays. If you have two pieces of paper, 2 cardboard targets, right, and a piece of steel, small-ish steel, that's like a 10-inch circle down there at 15 yards, you can get a boatload of work done in regards to movement and transitions on a setup just like this. So, Triple Trouble. Let's talk about the shooting pieces first, things that we're going to be looking for in regards to the shooting, and then we'll talk about the movement stuff. So, the shooting stuff, what am I looking to here? So, if you look at these 2 open targets at 7 yards, this is what I would call, you know, a target that requires a confirmation 1 type of sight picture. What does that exactly mean? So in order to hit the A zone in these 2 open targets, you don't need a whole lot of confirmation, meaning like I can just kind of put the gun on the target, see a flash of red, press the trigger twice, they're both gonna be in the alpha, as long as I do my part in terms of looking to that small spot the entire time and not moving the gun around as I'm pressing the trigger. That back target I would call a confirmation 2. I need to see more of a dot on that back target. The higher levels of confirmation that you get, the more of a dot you will see on the target. Although the dot will never be completely still, but you'll see, you know, instead of just seeing a color, you might see a flash, or you might see a dot that's kind of just, you know, dancing on the target like that. Like that would be a higher level of confirmation, confirmation 3. You might use something like that on like a head box at 25. Confirmation levels are also something that I believe to be shooter specific. What I might find to be confirmation 1, some of you guys might find to be, you know, confirmation 2 or confirmation 3, or vice versa. What you find to be confirmation 1, I'm like, man, I need to look at that a whole lot more. I need to see more of a dot on that target before I can press the trigger, because that is more or less an expensive target, or it's harder to hit. Now, how do you know what type of confirmation that you need to use? So real dirt simple for me, like if I draw my gun, look at the target, and my dot looks super, super tiny inside of that target, meaning it's covering up barely anything of that target. That target is going to require a lower confirmation level than one that if I drew the gun, like I have a 5-inch round steel down here, right? That looks to be about 15, 16 yards. Draw the gun, right? This 2 MOA dot looks to be covering up, I don't know, maybe a quarter of it, right? I need to see more of a dot on that than I would on either of these 3 targets, either of these 3 targets here. That back target, I kind of just need to see like a streak coming to the spot that I'm looking at. The gun does not need to come to a stop, definitely needs to come to a stop on all 3, but definitely that steel target. What you guys will notice while you're shooting that steel target, if you are not looking to a small spot, like if you just look to the whole piece of steel, you'll see the dot just streak across, right? And it's not coming to a stop. Like we talked about before, if you want the dot to come to a stop, you have to pick a place for it to stop on. You can't just look in the general direction of the targets. So, in other words, like look to maybe the center of that steel, right? Look to maybe there's like a little pot mark on it from a bullet. Like, hey, that's the spot that I'm gonna park my vision on and see if I can't make the dot show up on that. Another thing that you guys will notice with the shooting stuff, some of you guys will really shove the gun to the target. If you shove the gun to the target, it does basically one of these where like you shove and then it goes by it and then you overcorrect and then it finally comes to a halt. on the spot that you're trying to hit. And what that looks like, it looks like people are over confirming, but they're really not over confirming. They're trying to shoot good points and they shove the gun to the target and it just didn't land where they wanted it to land. You either do that or you shoot really crappy points, so it looks like you drag on, drag off. Neither of those two are good shooting. So look to a spot, try to just like float the gun to the spot that you're looking at, allow the gun to come to your vision more or less, and shoot as good a points as you possibly can on this. Some of the movement stuff, like the drill that we did before, this is going to be similar. I just have a little bit bigger space to move across here. This space is about, I don't know, 6-7 feet. Like it's not a whole lot of spread in terms of, you know, how far apart the sticks are. Some things that you guys might have noticed on bar hop, you will notice on this one too. And some of you guys might be saying like, oh my gosh, he crossed his feet, definitely killed in the streets. I can tell you guys that if you have problems staying upright while crossing your feet, you have way more problems than the shooting piece, right? Definitely get that some sort of medical attention, get that squared away if you guys are falling down while you're crossing your feet. If you do fall down while you're crossing your feet, like this probably should be something that we should be working on, right? If we can't just cross our feet and move to a spot, that's more of a problem, right? We should be able to do that. Another thing that I look to with this movement stuff, and a reason why I like crossing my feet, is when I move like that and I cross my feet, my shoulders go in the direction of movement. What I see a lot of is people that don't like crossing their feet, they'll do this, right? They'll pick that foot up to leave, and as you're shooting the target, your shoulders go in the opposite direction of the direction that you want to go, and then you do one of these, like try to push yourself into motion. Does a couple things. Number one, super duper slow. Number two, as you do this, like you're moving the gun in the opposite direction again that you want it to go in. I think it's kind of a bad deal. If you're like one of these where you're like, hey, I don't want to cross my feet, I don't like it, then what you should be doing is just simply stepping in that direction without loading this outside foot and making your shoulders go in that direction. A good example of a guy who does this really well is JJ Racaza. You'll watch him, I think he calls it a lead foot pivot if I'm not mistaken. You'll watch him just step in the direction that he's going, and his shoulders never do any of this weird stuff while he picks that foot up. So it doesn't really matter to me, cross over or don't. It's totally up to you. But again, when I cross over, I feel like my shoulders are going in the direction that I'm going. I also feel like I am not having to do things like change levels. I stay at the exact same level. And yeah, the entry piece of this. Some of you guys are gonna do stuff like this, where you'll shoot it, right? And then you'll like lower the gun and then get over here really quickly and then lift the gun up and shoot the rest. Those guys are losing probably 1.5 to 2 seconds, honestly, while they're shooting this, because you're just posting up and then moving, breaking down the gun and then lifting it back up. So some of the movement things that you guys are going to want to keep track of on this is like keeping the gun up the entire time. And also, as you're leaving out of here, the cue to leave is as soon as you hit the steel and look at that outside paper. Okay, so 2 on paper, 1 on steel, 2 on paper. So we'll shoot the paper, then the steel, and as soon as I look to that paper, I can lean out of that position and shoot that paper on the way out of that position. This is going to save me a significant amount of time. I can shoot that paper on a lean because it allows me to do so. It's an open target at 7 yards, so take advantage of it. As you move across here, I would be looking at the spot that you're going to try to hit upon your entry. This way, as soon as you enter into that position, you can do the shooting piece, right? This is going to significantly speed up your times. So gun up, coming into that position, try to step as softly as you possibly can. These are things that are going to help you out quite a bit. Okie doke, let's go ahead and shoot it. Should have enough for 4 reps here, I believe. Okay, so Hits on the paper, kind of sort of decent, sort of drug off of the paper the first time, or the first 2 shots there. So shot number 1 went in the alpha and then kind of drug off into that steel. And because of that, kind of got in that mode of just looking in the general direction, I had a hit on steel. It was a bitch made hit, but it was a hit, right? I want the center of that steel to get hit. All right, let's try it again. Okay, felt okay. I definitely felt like I put my feet down pretty damn heavy there. That was a 421, by the way, which I feel like is kind of spicy for this. Do some more. All right, that was a 416. Things are getting a little more spicy. Hits on this first target, they're okay. Second target's pretty good. Like everything's kind of clumped together. It's just my eyes are thinking about the steel, therefore my eyes are wanting to drag off of this first target. I need to shoot a little bit more in the moment here. Much, much better. That was very precise. So that was a 427. All right, let's go down, take a look at these hits, and give you guys some final thoughts here. Okay. So, not too bad, I guess. Definitely the ones that you see here outside of the alpha was me shoving on the gun, right? 100% shoving the gun to get there. No excuse there. That is not something that I would recommend doing. Like I should just look to a spot and push or allow the gun, not push, allow the gun to kind of show up there. That's that first one where I was kind of just looking in the general direction. That's why you see that thing kind of coming off. What you guys will notice is when you have a target like this and then a smaller steel target that's harder to hit than this one, what you'll notice is your attention will never be on this target. You'll always be thinking about like, all right, need to make sure I hit the steel, right? So I think that's one challenging thing. So shoot in the moment. And what I mean is like, look to a small spot. The shooting isn't done until you have 2 rounds on that target or however many rounds you're putting on that target. So you need to be connected to that target until you're done with it, okay? Because that is a bad trend. That will be a trend that follows you throughout the rest of the string of fire or throughout the rest of the drill, okay? So again, these right here, kind of sort of a trend, not a super big one though, right? I definitely saw myself or felt myself like shove the gun over to that target. So things to look for, all right? This target here, this is a whole lot cleaner in my opinion. Like when you have bullets kind of concentric around the spot that you're looking in the high alpha, like that's pretty good there. So there's a couple, I got 2 Charlies, right? There's 2 Charlies there. Not super bad. I feel like, again, I just kind of shoved the gun to the target and that's why those are there. Like that's what I saw and felt. So if this is you, right? Say you have a trend of like, hey, I feel myself, or I caught myself really, pushing on the gun to the target. Well, you're out of rounds, so you can't shoot anymore. But what I would do is stand here and do dry fire transitions. And they would look something like this. Bring the gun up, put the dot on the target, look to the next target, allow the dot to show up, and then look to the next target, right? See how precise you can get the gun to land on the targets that you're shooting. This will help you guys tremendously if you guys are catching yourself shoving on the gun. So if that's you, again, stand here and dry fire, rep it out, right? Really focus on picking a small spot, stopping that gun on the very small spot that you're looking at, because again, this is not your entire target, okay? This target is holding the one that you're trying to hit, right? Think about it like that. If you think about it like that, what I find is when I try to think about it or conceptualize it like that, I see my vision kind of do this, kind of like really hone in on the spot that I'm trying to hit, all right? That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comment box below. And if you have any sort of, you know, questions in regards to training. Maybe you want to see your topic on a 100-round range day video. Drop that in the comment box below. Always happy to entertain any of that stuff.